What's happening out there, guys? Welcome along to another edition of 420 News. It's midweek, guys. It's Wednesday, in case you've lost track of what day it is out there. I know at the start of this pandemic I was definitely losing track of the days because my routine was bloody everywhere. But yeah, I've been back on top of it now since doing the 420 News. At least 3 days of the week I know what day it is. It's going to make sure this thing is on silent there. Sweet, that's on silent. So welcome along, guys. Hope everybody's doing good. See a few comments coming in there and all. I see Daily Talker is after arriving pre-stoned. Fair play, man. It's like a bit of pre-drinking, pre-smoking before the 420 News. Keith Griffin, what's happening out there, man? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing really good as well, man. Who else is out there, man? Sure. John Regan, what's happening, John? We've got the Skitanist, Sean T. Campion, and Podge. Guys, what's going on? Nice to see you all out there and letting your comments coming in nice and early. So guys, the first bit of news today actually is one of the commenters, John Regan. John Regan is making, again, yet another appearance on today's 420 News. He was on Monday because he was up in court yesterday, and he's on today because I have an update for you based on John's experience there in court. John was in for what I believe to be possession of, I think it was like 9 grams of cannabis thereabouts, a very small personal amount of cannabis for his own use. And yeah, he was up in court yesterday for that, amongst a couple of other charges as well for cannabis, I believe. Again, if you want to know more about John's case, you can go back to the not this one, there we go, this is the one. You can go back to that past episode with him on episode 21, where you will be able to learn more about what he was up in court for there yesterday. But what he got anyway was he got some cases further put back until June. And then also he got 120 hours community service in lieu of 3 months in prison. So that's, you know, you might think that's a good outcome. You know, at least he didn't get 3 months in prison. But really, like 120 hours community service, that's a lot of time. And if you were to put a financial figure on that, just even to use minimum wage, which everybody is entitled to based upon the work they do, that's what John is waiving by going out engaging in community service. He's doing work for free, so he's waiving his right, his entitlement to this minimum wage. So he's going to do work for the state in some capacity. I don't know what they make you do for community service, go out and sweep the roads or what the crack is, but 120 hours. And if you were to just slap €10 an hour, which is under minimum wage, but we won't talk about that, but at €10 an hour, that's €1,200 for 120 hours of community service that John is losing out on. So that's a €1,200 fine effectively he's getting. That's hard labour. Like, I don't know what they get him doing. Was it pushing paper or what the crack is for people who get community service in Ireland. But what a waste of time. Like, to bring a man for court for this. And I think John says that there was 3 Gardaí who had to attend court for him. His case was put back until the end of the day. So those 3 Gardaí had to hang around and wait until that case got called for them to go in and give their evidence. What a waste of time. Like, are we as taxpayers out there happy that people like John Regan, you know, you see him here aptly in the photo, surrounded by the cops? Like, what is it appropriate that our taxpayers' money has been wasted like this to target people like him? For me, no, hell no. It's a terrible waste of taxpayers' money. This money could be better spent helping our young people who need a lot of bloody guidance out there currently. Like, so many of them are running astray, and the services that are there to help them, you know, they're powerless. You know, they're going underfunded, they're under-resourced. It's just terrible. But meanwhile, look at the Gardaí there. Like, no shortage of Gardaí. You know, they're all there with their shoes polished and all fine and dandy, well looked after. But meanwhile, you know, again, I use the Gerard Rose of the world. You know, I'd imagine that the services that Gerard works for, I'd imagine they have to fight tooth and nail just to secure every penny they get. And even then, they probably still have to rely on the public, on the communities. They do fundraisers in order for them to cater for the young people who they're supposed to be diverting away from the very crimes that John is kind of up for drugs, you know. So what a waste of money. Like, it's a very backwards system and way of doing things. But best of luck, John, in your future court cases out there. I hope to have it maybe back on the podcast, maybe in person someday. I might head up to Kilkee there and we meet up for an old 420 smoke and an old Subway sandwich as well, maybe. But yeah, I do look forward to catching up with you again someday, John. So that's the update there on John O'Regan. And other news there as well, guys. Sticking with Ireland, sticking with the activists that are out there. the UCC Students for Sensible Drug Policy, after an amazing event on Tuesday evening, hosted by an incredible host in Emily. An amazing event, well done to all involved. But they're back in at it again tomorrow evening. So I'd like to just pop this up on screen here for you to see. There you go, you're able to see that now. But they're back at it tomorrow evening, featuring some of the prominent Irish researchers, Professor Declan McCaulin from the School of Medicine at Trinity College in Dublin, and Dr. Declan O'Keefe, consultant in pain medicine in the Charter Medical Private Hospital St Vincent's Private Clinic and Affidea in Tala. So they're going to be speaking tomorrow evening about the work that they've done, or their role the role of ketamine in the current Irish medicine and mental health treatment. So it should be a great event. I do know that UCC members in the past managed to take part in some of those studies. Shout out to Dan Kirby, who I don't know if he's watched the show, but he once was an amazing activist for the Students for Sensible Drug Policy, and I believe he's now a lecturer actually at Trinity College. But yeah, that should be a great event tomorrow evening. Just to pop it back up on screen there again for you guys, tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. So again, message the UCC SSDP's Instagram or Facebook page, and they'll be able to provide you with the link for that chat. I don't have the link just yet, but I should have my hands on it maybe by 6 o'clock this evening. But I will be able to share it with you as well, so get in touch with me if you need it as well. But as always, guys, make sure you give the UCC SSDP a bloody follow on social media, because they're doing a fucking smashing job out there, like an amazing activists, amazing students. Well done to them all, and I look forward to future events that they'll hold as well. So we drive on with other news, guys, and other news brings us to we're going to North Cork. Up in North Cork yesterday in the news, there was a landlord who evicted his tenants for growing cannabis, later went on to take over the operation. Now, I don't know, there's something fishy about that story, whether you believe it or not. I definitely think there's a bit of a porky pie being told there. And before I get stuck into this, I'd like to just thank Archie there as well for that $10 donation. Again, Archie, man, you're a legend. Thanks very much for the support of the show. I hope all is well up there in Sligo, man. And yeah, I seen your email there as well yesterday. I'll be replying to that there very soon as well, actually, Archie. Apologies for not getting back to you sooner. So yeah, in this news source anyway, this landlord, be it named John Delaney, I believe, or John Sheehan, sorry, age 48, he pleaded guilty at the Cork Circuit Criminal Court to possessing cannabis for the sale and supply and to cultivating cannabis without a licence at his home in Ardglass, Charleville, County Cork, on October 23rd, 2019. So a year and a half ago he was caught with this, and he's only up in court for it now. So Detective Garda Will Hosford said that investigating Gardaí had uncovered a sophisticated cannabis grow house with lights and watering systems set up in a shipping container in the backyard of Mr. Sheehan's house. Again, the Gardaí trying to make it sound more than what it is. Oh, it was a sophisticated cannabis grow house. Really sophisticated. It was probably just a simple fucking hydroponics setup like that any fool could set up. Do you know what I mean? Like when the cops say sophisticated, they probably mean there was a timer being used. It came on its own. Jesus, that was incredibly sophisticated. A timer. Everybody has a timer on their bloody heating in their house. Should you have heating in your house? Like, would you call your heating sophisticated? Albeit you won't know how to do it. Like, always get a registered gas installer. But you know, it would be sophisticated to you. But it's fucking simple. You go in, you turn the dial, you flick the switch onto timer mode, and it's done. Nothing sophisticated about it at all. It's the same with these cannabis grow houses. Like, they like to say they're sophisticated, but they're not. You plug and you play, like you literally plug in some lights into a timer, you dial it in. You have to have the beforehand knowledge about maybe if you're working with photoperiod plants as to the 1212 or, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Like, but that's technical knowledge, like, you know, that's not sophisticated at all in terms of the grow house. Like, I hate when they do this, like, and I think maybe they're trolling us out there. The people who know what they're actually on about know that it's not sophisticated at all. It's just them trying to make it look like it's more than what it is. You know, the old illusion of smoke and mirrors, like that they're great at it, like, and using the media to their advantage in that regard. But in this sophisticated grow house, anyway, they discovered 23 mature cannabis plants with a street value of €18,400. Like, again, the value of the plants are like way over on what they actually should be. It's inflated because of prohibition, and two, with the 250 grams of cannabis herb that they found, and they valued at €5,066, giving the total value of the seizure at €23,000, because the cops love to overinflate these values so that at the end of the year they can say we seized millions of euros worth of drugs. And look, the drugs we seized this year, it was more than what we got last year, so give us more money for our budget, so we can go out there and bust more people like John Regan and get more overtime for our court stays while we're waiting for him to give evidence against him. Because this is where the money goes. Like, it's wasted on that. John Regan makes up a large proportion of the time our Gardaí spend, i.e. as in personal drug consumers. That's what John Regan was. He's not a drug dealer. He's not some kingpin involved in the intricate dealing of the drugs across the island of Ireland. No, John is just a consumer who's cost the state now 3 Gardaí, multiple visits to the court, overtime and all of that kind of crap. Like, why are we accepting this? Like, you know, I really don't understand it. Like, but overseeing this anyway was Judge Sean O'Donovan, who said it was perplexing, the story that the landlord gave to him. He said, was it the way in which he objected to foreign direct investment? He throws out the developer and then takes over the business himself? Like, is Judge Sean O'Donovan trying to be a bit of a comedian there or something? Like, is he trying to crack a joke in court, or what's the crack, like, you know? But the judge said that the court could not permit Sheehan to make a €5,000 profit from his first crop. But that's because the John Sheehan, in this case, he said that he was actually approached by somebody else after he had evicted the tenants to grow the cannabis for him, and he was rewarded in doing so with €5,000. The value of the crop was probably worth more than that, as you can see here. The guards allude to the fact that it was worth €18,000. So your man was getting $5,000 for it. So what did the judge do? He turns around and goes, look, you give me a donation of $5,000 to my charity box. That'll be donated to Tabor Lodge, because maybe Judge Sean O'Donovan has had lunch with the boys up at Tabor Lodge, and he likes them, you know what I mean? They're buddies, like, you know, they share an old glass of whiskey there over the lunch while he's on break from court. You know, it's a scumbaggery. That's what's going on here, like, because he suspended the sentence in its entirety. Your man got a 2-year sentence for growing all of these plants, and he was able to give a €5,000 donation to charity Tabor Lodge, and he's going to get off now with the sentence. So your man gives $5,000 to Tabor Lodge. Tabor Lodge are winners in this. They get $5,000. The state now are winners in this, because they don't have to look after this landlord in jail for 2 years. So they benefit actually by suspended the sentence. So actually, like, this man is paying money for the state to benefit off of that. Like, you know, he should have just said, like, oh, okay, like, the man wants his freedom. In fairness, like, I would, like, for me, it's a different battle. I would have been going in there for a personal thing, and I wouldn't be willing to pay it. Like, even if the judge said to me, look, give me 10 grand there, Martin, and you can go on out of the court, like, first of all, I wouldn't have 10 grand to give him, like, but second of all, I wouldn't be willing to give it to him because of the principle of the matter. There's no principle in it for this guy, because look, he's seen an opportunity to make money, and he got caught involved in it, like, so he doesn't really have a leg to stand on, I suppose, really, when it comes to defending himself. So he has to take whatever fucking scraps he's thrown. But again, it's us, the taxpayers. Like, man, are we happy with this? Like, is this good use of taxpayers' money? We caught a man who was involved at a high level at the production of drugs in our society, drugs that are bad, you know what I mean, drugs that are bad, and we're leaving him off because he's given $5,000 to Tabor Lodge. That makes no fucking sense. Like, in fairness, like, it's the same $5,000 that he admitted he made from the production of the cannabis. So the man is at no loss at all. He made $5,000 from his criminal activity, and now he has to hand that over to the court. So now the court is actually, like, just taking, like, I don't know, like, you know, the proceeds of crime and benefiting from it. Like, that's, man, this wrecks my head. Like, you know, this just stinks. It's so wrong. Like, here we have it again, a shining example of, like, why these judges won't come out and call for a change. Look at the power he has. A $5,000 donation to Tabor Lodge. And again, as I say it, like, if he's buddy with the boys up in Tabor Lodge, like, Guess who's getting a nice Christmas present come Christmas time off his body at Tabor Lodge? Certainly Judge Sean O'Donovan will be, like, you know what I mean? So you see how this kind of can corrupt these people. Like, I'm not saying Judge Sean O'Donovan is corrupt, but he could be, like, you know. So I am saying it in certain regards. And I suppose, like, yeah, it's no secret me and Judge Sean O'Donovan have a bit of a love-hate relationship anyway. So I might be a bit biased in that opinion. What's happening out there as well to who's that? The Cannabis Unity Movement. What's happening to the Cannabis Unity Movement? I got a 420 donation through Super Chat. He says, big up to Martin's World. So nice one to the Cannabis Unity Movement out there. And an acronym there for them is the CUM movement. So nice one there for whoever's behind that. I'll get on with the news, guys, and I'll be back to some of your comments there as we go through. I see one of the comments actually from Martin James Dwyer in relation to the event there the other night. He says also Colin Butler and her Law that was at the meeting the other night. One of them went to say he was in court and said that the state wasn't giving harsh punishments, and that was pure bullshit. You know, I got done for €2 worth. He comes out with that. Yeah, you know, you're very right. And the reason why I kind of read out your comment is I actually wanted a home in that that was your man, feckin', what was his name? Something Lawless. Feck, I'm gonna just have a quick look at that. He was with Fianna Fáil. That's who you're referring to there. What's his name? Jesus, Lawless. James Lawless with Fianna Fáil. Yeah, he said that he believed that the punishments for the Misuse of Drugs Act were fair, and the reason he gave for that was because of what happened in this case. Judge Sean O'Donovan was able to let your man off. Is that fair? That's not fair. That is not fair at all. Like, because like $5,000, like, again, that's not fair. We as the people are losing out. There's no fairness in that. Why is it fair that we get to waste taxpayers' monies on bringing people to court only to send them home from court with little slaps on the wrists or donation to charities? There's nothing fair about that at all. So thanks, Martin, for bringing that up, because I almost forgot the home in that when I was mentioning the UCC event there from the other night. But yeah, that was James Lawless, Fianna Fáil, who believed that the punishments were fair. But albeit Colin Burke then from Fine Gael, he actually, I believe, he agreed that the punishments were not fair and that there is a need to look at them, and he believes that the opportunity is through the Citizens Assembly. So that to me sent that there is some speck of hope. Like, there was a little crack in the door there into the mind of Colin Burke the other night. While he came representing Fine Gael, I would like to think that throughout the hour that he spent at that discussion, that he did have a slight crack in the door for his own mind anyway, at least, albeit maybe he went back then and maybe that could influence how the party would go on later on. But for me, I'll always forever be the optimist and think that was a great benefit from that event, that maybe Colin Burke, albeit, you know, he expressed opinions I didn't agree with, but I was thankfully he came and expressed them with us, shared his thoughts and opinions, and I would hope that he went away with, you know, just that little speck of something just got in there, you know what I mean, that he was lying on his pillow that night and he was like, you know what? Those fucking students, like, they're onto something, like, you know, I agree with him, like, we do need to change those laws, like, and maybe he'll go and try to do that, like, I've hope, I'll always be hopeful anyway, so that'll be me, but yeah. So we'll drive on there, guys. We'll get on to some other news out there, and we're sticking within Ireland, and it is a bit more positive news in this relation. It's not a bloody guard raid anyway, at least. Greenheart CBD, a cannabis tech company, they've raised €4.5 million to help hemp farmers in Ireland. So well done to the guys at Greenheart CBD. It's a Mead-based startup company, and they raised the $4.5 million in funding to develop a blockchain platform for issuing loans and new tech to hemp farmers. The round was led by cryptocurrency and blockchain focused investment firm Alphabit, and will be used according to plug gaps in financing for CBD businesses and farmers. So this is great. I hope it will be put to good use, because I believe one of the biggest issues there for hemp farmers in Ireland is there's not enough infrastructure for processing their crop afterwards. You know, the processing facilities are often maybe located in Europe, so that means shipping your hemp crop out of Ireland, which is costly, and it's kind of counterproductive really, like, you know, it's not efficient at all. So Greenheart provides farmers with the equipment and the seeds they need to begin growing hemp for CBD products. With the new funding, it plans to further develop a platform for issuing loans of up to 50 grand to farmers using blockchain technology, while also providing tech such as drones for automated continual monitoring of crops. That is very useful actually, especially if these are automated drones, as they say. You know, you could automate a drone in such a way that it could fly over a crop using high-tech cameras. It could actually tell certain nutrient even deficiencies. So that's a great opportunity there. It could also be looking for other issues there, reducing the time and or the hands-on, the labour that's needed to go out and monitor the crop as it grows. So that's a great opportunity there in this. Great use of the blockchain as well, you know, really kind of merging modern technology with some ancient technologies, as in the 1,000-year-old cannabis crop that we've grown for thousands of years, possibly even, I don't know, but I say millions, that's probably maybe a stretch, who knows, but we've certainly had an endocannabinoids system for as long as we've existed, but the loans are expected to be issued through smart contracts on the platform, with the company committing to buying the hemp that these farmers grow and sell it on. According to Greenheart, which is itself fully licensed to grow hemp, the element of the business has been driven by shortcomings in the availability of financing for hemp growers, given its association with cannabis. Association? It is cannabis. What are you on about? The company, which was founded by Paul Walsh and Mark Canavan in 2019, said that it had 2,500 customers, and it's already profitable. So you see the two lads here pictured on screen at the moment. So well done to them. You know, more faces there in the Irish cannabis market, while others in the industry are getting raided and targeted by the revenue and the authorities. You know, you have some others out there who are doing well and are striving, and I hope that continues. I hope I can report more positive news like this. And the next piece I would love to be able to focus on, or to be reporting on, for the CBD industry, is the access to better strains of CBD plants, you know, cannabis plants. You know, this distancing of it from its association with cannabis. No, we need to fucking marry the two. Hemp is cannabis, like, and the prohibition of cannabis has made our farmers grow hemp cannabis strains which are not effective in order to meet the demand for consumers out there in terms of the CBD products they want. Often the hemp grown in Ireland, the CBD grown in Ireland, it's lacking in terpenes and all of these other flavonoids, because our farmers are restricted in what they can grow. It'll take a while before a new hemp strain can be developed, because it has to meet all of these highly restrictive criteria of 0.2% THC. Again, if we were to just widen that, bring it to 1%, or just remove it altogether, man, we would be able to grow so much better bloody cannabis here in Ireland and produce much better products then, which would be even more profitable. Because if they can be profitable with a substandard crop, surely they could be even more profitable with a crop that's going to be even more efficient in the production of its CBD. You know, rather than relying on the current strains that produce maybe 5 or 6% of CBD, they could bring in strains of CBD that grow upwards of 15 or 20% CBD, you know, 3 times the amount. Therefore, you know, their extracts are going to be worth 3 times more if it's CBD that they're looking at, because the yield of CBD is going to be higher. But anyway, the next step of Greenheart will be the launching of its own digital token, called the Greenheart Punt. That will be traded on its platform, and I believe I heard of this before actually from my buddy Graham DeBarra, who was on the podcast the other night. I'll see if I can get Graham on, or follow up with Graham to find out more about this and see what he knows, and I'll see if I can get the lads Mark and Paul on the podcast, so you guys can learn a bit more about what Greenheart does, and maybe if there's some job opportunities for people who want to maybe work in the industry at some stage. I don't know if there's people out there who want to drive an old farm or tractor down the hemp field and harvest some hemp. But maybe we'll see what the crack is there anyway in that. So we'll drive on, guys. We'll move on with some other news out there. Because we go to the County Laois, back to the court cases again. So in County Laois, there was a 4-week remand for a man charged with the cultivation of cannabis plants. So this man is going to be held for the cultivation of cannabis plants, which he was caught growing in February 2021. So he's going to be held until his court case until May 6th. But interesting in this case, it's the case of Phuvo, or Phuvo, Phuvo. I believe he's a Vietnamese man, anyway, going by the name that he's given. And I believe this is a case that I might have touched on back when this raid happened again. When the raid happened, he uncovered this man there without a passport. I believe he was held there without access to food. He was dropped off a monthly supply of food, and the guy was pretty much just isolated there growing the cannabis for probably some massive criminal enterprise, who was able to afford to import a man from another country, take his passport from him, and then keep him in a house. I can't afford to go out there and buy a house and import a man in here like that. I'd imagine that takes a lot of money to be able to own a house and import a person into a country to grow some fucking cannabis. Again, all of this could have been avoided if we just legalised and regulated. If we let people like me grow cannabis for the community that's out there, other people out there who want to grow it, we wouldn't see this kind of exploitation of human beings. Literally, people exploited from kind of countries where, I don't know, like the level of income is very low. If he was to come here and receive, I don't know, €100 and send that back, then 80 euros or €100 back to his family, that's probably a 2 months' wages or something in Vietnam. I don't know, like no disrespect to people in Vietnam. I don't know what the living wage is there and how that compares to Ireland. But I do know when I went to Thailand, like which isn't too far away, but does very well, that my money went very bloody far, I believe like a week's welfare payment here would have probably lasted you a month over there, and you probably could have lived like a king on it. So again, like the prohibition of drugs, it enables the prohibition of cannabis. It enables the exploitation of people out there. And then you have people like Frank Fionn, our fucking health minister, coming along talking about a health-led approach. Where's the health-led approach in this? Like where the prohibition you supports facilitates human trafficking, Frank Stephen Donnelly, health minister. Guys, you're scumbags for supporting this prohibition. Like, oh man, it's just really bloody annoying that it continues. Sorry guys, a bit of cotton mouth going on there. Yeah, I see some comments coming in here like, sure, we all love our aliens. Yeah, the cost of living is cheaper in Vietnam. Yeah, I would certainly agree with that, man. The cost of living is much cheaper in Vietnam than Thailand, and certainly much cheaper than what it is here in Ireland. But yeah, we drive on anyway because other things that the prohibition of drugs is facilitating or supporting is the bloody what do we call them? The paramilitary groups out there. So this was above in Northern Ireland, where in Northern Ireland the paramilitary the paramilitary crime task force was out on Tuesday, and they seized a number of mistreated dogs, aside a quantity of suspected cannabis and over £10,000 in cash. So there's nothing I hate more than prohibitionists than animal fucking abusers. I love animals. Like we only rescued a duck the other day while out bloody fishing. That's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it? I love animals. I was out fishing for fish, but I love like, yeah, never mind. Look, I just overlooked that. But like I hate these people who abuse animals. And in this investigation, and I should have actually said this a warning there, but this is one of the dogs that was retrieved from the operation the other day. And like you can just see, like, its battered little face. I don't know, was this dog involved in fights or what the crack was? Is it that kind of like mange across its face? Horrible to see anyway, like a dog like that. I'm going to take it off just because I don't want to see it up there any longer. But again, this is what prohibition is supporting. Not only is it supporting the paramilitary crime gangs out there, but it's supporting people who mistreat dogs, Do you want to be buying cannabis from this guy? I know I certainly don't. And the searches took place across Belfast, Hillsborough, and Millsey, with the PCTF assisted by officers from the local neighbourhood policing teams and the tactical support units. So again, even the boys up in Northern Ireland are wasting the taxpayers' money, just literally just burning it away, pissing it down the drain, fucking, so to speak, on fighting this war on drugs. At least they managed to rescue some dogs and this, like, but again, remove prohibition out of it and set up a bloody an animal abuse division. Like, I would support the animal abuse division. Like, do they have an animal abuse division within the crime task force? I don't think they would do. I couldn't imagine they do. But the police said that the dogs had serious injuries but were now receiving veterinary treatment, and they also seized a substantial quantity of suspected cannabis and drug paraphernalia. In a statement, PSNI Detective Inspector O'Neill says the PCTF, along with our district police colleagues, are committed to tackling the harms caused by all types of criminality which is perpetrated by those linked to paramilitary and organised crime. Well, you're not really. Like, if you were against all sorts of criminality, you would be going against the criminality that is keeping a fucking effective medicine from patients, man. That is a crime. There's people out there right across Northern Ireland, right across all of Ireland, right across the UK, who are without access to cannabis, who are at the mercy of criminal gangs, where they're relying on criminal gangs to provide their cannabis to them for their health conditions. That's a fucking crime. Should speak out against that, Inspector O'Neill. No, you won't, because you benefit too much off the Misuse of Drugs Act. You know, the war on drugs. You're a benefit factor of it, because you, at the end of the year, every now and again, you get to show your face in the media, go to your briefings where you're looking for more money to swell the purses so you can get a raise for all of this work that you do. Like, you benefit off it, so you'll never speak out against it. So you, sir, man, you're just as evil, you're just as much of a scumbag as the people you target in these acts, like, you know? You really are. You talk about caring for your community, and you're committed to tackling the harms caused. The greatest harms caused are by the prohibition you support, you fucking scumbag. You tick. Man, oh man, sorry guys for losing it a bit like that, you know. I try not to curse and things on the show, but like, really, like, this really infuriates me when these people go on and they get a microphone and they can go on and peddle this bloody nonsense. You know, we're committed to community engagement and to protecting us and getting these criminals off it. No, you're not. Ye are actually facilitating it. Without ye, the criminals wouldn't exist, you know. Without ye out there fucking fighting your war on drugs, they wouldn't exist. But, you know, and we'll kind of, I'm sorry for ranting on about that, like, but yeah, and it's going into the next story, really, because I know it's coming up, you know. I know it's coming up again. In the next story, there's Sarah Harding of Girls Aloud. Sarah Harding of Girls Aloud is making the 420 news today because she revealed she's taking cannabis oil to help ease the pain amid her battle with breast cancer, after saying her treatment is moving in the right direction. So Sarah Harding, like, I didn't even know who she was, to be honest, until I read the article and I seen, oh yeah, she's in the Girls Aloud. So I didn't really know who she was, but she revealed in an extract from her autobiography called "Hear Me Out" that she decided to try the treatment after it was recommended to her by her pal Duncan James, another name who I don't really know, probably some other famous person. But it comes after Sarah revealed that her cancer treatment is moving in the right direction, and her tumours have shrunk since she publicly revealed her diagnosis back in August. Back in August, she revealed that she'd been battling breast cancer she'd been battling breast cancer, and recently said she does not know how many months she has left to live after her cancer spread to her spine. But in her book, she revealed that Duncan suggested she try the cannabis oil after he found the benefits from the treatment when he suffered a back injury during a stage show. Ending the book, Sarah wrote, her MRI scans at the end of December revealed that the tumours in her brain and in her lungs have shrunk a bit, with the treatment. Now, she is not on about cannabis treatment in this. She's still going, receiving conventional treatments for her cancer. She's using the cannabis actually to help with the pain that comes from the cancer. So that's the main reason she's actually using the cannabis. She's not using the cannabis to cure her cancer, like as the article kind of alludes to in this. It's actually just to deal with the pain. She talks about the being able to sleep better, having a better quality of life. She talks about how in December her doctor told her that the upcoming Christmas would probably be her last, and that she didn't expect that prognosis at all, and she didn't want it either. But she said comfort and being as pain-free as possible is what's important to her now, and trying to live and enjoy every second of her life, however long it might be. She says, I'm having a glass of wine or two during all of this because it helps me relax. And again, cannabis also helps ease the pain there that's caused by the cancer, not only in her breast but on her spine too, which I can imagine is agonizing. And you'd imagine then the alternative to cannabis would be maybe something like morphine. And I don't know if people know the effects of morphine out there, but it will leave a person quite withdrawn, lethargic and unable to engage with their loved ones, to maintain that quality of life and at that end stages, if this is where she is at in her treatment. So I wish Sarah all the best, and I just think I'm glad she's after sharing her story, being such a famous person, I hope it gets it out to a wider audience that yes, cannabis is medicine. Yes, cannabis does help with the easing of the pain for people out there who suffer with cancer. What can that do for a person, okay? If your pain is eased, okay, and you're receiving treatment for your cancer, if your pain is eased, that means you're sleeping better. That might mean you're eating better. That might mean you can actually get up in the morning and do your day-to-day activities, go for a walk, engage in some level of exercise, What's that going to mean for the individual? Will cannabis cure the cancer? No. But what that does for the person, being able to engage in those kind of activities and that level of quality of life, that might help the person actually receive better quality of treatment from the treatment that they're getting. Therefore, actually, get better results, as in their tumour shrink, as Sarah's been shown. So while cannabis, wouldn't take the extent of the full share of or all of the credit, I suppose, for her tumour shrinking, you could certainly say, the quality of life that it's after enabling for Sarah in this regard, maybe that helped, because again, stress is probably one of the biggest killers out there for humans, and cannabis being a prophylactic, man, it's amazing prophylactic for stress. If you're the person who's prone to stress and you can consume cannabis responsibly and you're not overly sensitive to it, then man, that's going to do wonders for you. It's probably going to add years onto your life if you can use cannabis to deal with stress. I can't imagine the stress you have to deal with a prognosis of death. A doctor telling you, this is probably going to be your last Christmas, so try to enjoy it. Imagine the stress you're being done with that, and along comes cannabis, it can take the edge off. That's amazing, especially if you can work with it with professionals who can help guide you to it, where you're not going down the street and getting it off some fucking young flat, some 12, 13-year-old, because it's the only person all right, maybe a 16, 17-year-old, but at least you're not getting it off of them where you're at risk of getting some high THC strain where there is very little CBD in it, and therefore, being a first-timer, you are prone to having a bad time, having an anxiety attack, if you will, because the THC level is a bit too high in some of the cannabis that's available out there for people trying it for the first time. And again, if you're a first timer and you take 2 puffs, I will always say to people, start slow, start low, go slow. Literally, if it's your first time and you smoke a joint, take 1 puff. Take 1 puff and put the bloody thing down. Wait 5 minutes and see how you feel after 5 minutes. That's the best advice I can give to you especially when you're getting your cannabis off the black market. I can't say that enough. So again, I'd imagine Sarah, being a part of the Girls Loud, she's probably able to afford a private prescription for her cannabis. Not everybody's able to afford that, so they rely on the black market. And actually, in relation to that, and I don't have a headline for that here, But I remember reading there yesterday evening, and I'm only just remembering now that I forgot to include it in today's headlines. But there was controversy in the UK actually around the CAN card, where some doctors now are the British Medical Association, is it, or something like that anyway, the BRMI, or I don't know what it's called, the Royal British Medical Association, is that it? I don't know. But anyway, they came out against the CAN card, saying that, look, they don't endorse it, they don't condone it, and they're not okay with any of the doctors registered under their association recommending that their patients sign up to that program. And that actually is reflected then in some of the patients out there's experiences when approaching their doctor to sign the declaration that is needed for joining up to the CAN card. Some people will have to go and just get a medical summary from their doctor's offices, because their doctor actually won't sign a piece of paper saying that patient A has condition X, Y, and Z, which would qualify them then for the CAN card. So that's a bit of controversy around the CAN card at the moment in the UK. The kind of medical association is coming out against it, saying that the doctors can't be endorsing unregulated cannabis-based products to patients through the CAN card system. So yeah, that is interesting, I suppose, that they're after coming out and publicly going against that. And yeah, I'll try to follow up with Carly maybe at some stage. Carly is the person behind the CAN card, so I'll see if Carly will come on and share her thoughts on that one. So in other news, guys, and we will take a nice big hop on from the UK over to Australia. Ooh, and that flight to Australia has left me parched. And before we get to Australia, actually, we've a layover in New Zealand. Because this headline has actually to do with New Zealand. The Misuse of Drugs Act overhaul off the cards for now, says Andrew Little, Health Minister of New Zealand. And this is in response to an open letter that was published, I believe, on Monday, that was signed by a number of health and social service organisations, including the Medical Association, the Public Health Association, and the Mental Health Foundation. They all published an open letter asking for drug use to be treated as a health issue, not a criminal one. And the health minister has said that their gesture is 12 months too late. He said that the government was now constrained by the last year's public vote on cannabis legislation, which returned a 50.7% in opposition. So again, man, like Little, like his surname is fine, because he will cling on to what little piece of evidence there is there to support like the continuing of criminalising drug users. Like 50.7, so basically 0.7, like that's the difference of the vote, albeit like yes, they won, but it was a non-binding referendum. What that referendum showed was 49.3% of the New Zealand population agreed with decriminalising and legalising cannabis, and ending the criminalisation of its users. Like that is a massive indication that, look, actually, like that is like, that's pretty much fucking your population. Like, you know, every vote is probably a margin of error, plus or minus like 1% or something like that, you know, in relation to the people who didn't show up, in relation to the lies that were spouted before the vote by the opposition, because there was a lot of lies told in relation to the dangers of cannabis and the dangers of legalizing it. So there was a lot of dangers and a lot of lies and a lot of smoke and mirrors there by the opposition, and despite that, still like they only just scraped the win. They only just scraped it, and Little now is just like, oh no, that's good enough for me, man. We're not going to do nothing about drugs, because no, I got my 50.7 and that's good for me. I can hang on to my precious prohibition, so I don't have to deal with the actual issues in society. Because if you can keep drug use illegal, well then you can actually keep picking on people for like being poor, but by them being poor, or by them being different, but not by them being different. And what I'm talking to is like in New Zealand, it's the Maori who are disproportionately affected by the drug laws. So therefore, like they don't go out and picking people for being Maori. No, it's we're picking on you because you're drug use. but the Maori people are disproportionately affected on it. Like that, there's racist undertones there in the applications of the laws as well. You know, the problems around people being poor socioeconomics, you know, those areas I'd imagine probably get targeted more, because probably drug dealing is probably more prevalent in those areas, because people are more desperate in those areas because their income is less. You know what I mean? If you were to legalize and end the criminalization of drug users and provide a legal avenue for people to get access to their drugs, then those same people who are desperate now to engage in drug dealing and stuff, they're going to need the help of the state. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that would mean then that people like Andrew Little and the other ministers out there would actually have to address the real economic issues underlying in our society that have been kind of brushed aside, and they're being blamed on other things. You know, those people have drug use problems. No, those people like were poor and their lives were shit, you know, the whatever it might have been, and that led to them then developing drug use problems. Do you know? It's just another way of them beating around the bush and just keep on picking on a certain population, because again, like, you know, the war on drugs is not really a war on drugs, it's a war on a certain population of people within society. Do you know, it's not even a war on people, because it's just a war on a certain sect of people, you know. And every now and again, you know, we might try to make an example of somebody outside of that sect, but just so that we can kind of say that, look, oh yeah, we are still going after them, you know. But yeah, in this case anyway, like I hope maybe that there's a change over there in New Zealand, because yeah, you know, you were so close. You were really so close, man. And I think this letter, it was a very well put together letter. There's a lot of support behind it. So I hope they keep making noise over there, because, yeah, you're certainly going down the right path anyway. Like, you know, fighting for wider drug decriminalisation, ending the criminalisation of drug users. That's a fucking good goal to go for. And I hope New Zealand is able to get a vote on that, because the health minister actually said in his responses to the guys that they should hold a referendum for this issue on drug decriminalisation. So he kind of is open at least to holding a referendum, albeit there can't be another referendum held for at least a year or two, I suppose, on this issue. Because there was only one there a couple of months ago, so it'll be a bit of time yet before they get that. So that means, you know what I mean, like that this is what your man is doing, Andrew Little. He's kicking the can down the road. I don't have to deal with this. I'm going to kick it down the road. The public had their say. I can just keep doing my thing now, and I don't have to change what I'm doing, because I benefit greatly off of not having to change what I'm doing. You know. So in the final news piece then, guys, it is in Australia. So in Australia then, we finally get to Australia. One of the largest medicinal cannabis farms is to be built in the west of Brisbane. So shout out to people over in Australia, guys. Shout out to the boys down in the land down under. But yeah, over in Brisbane now, there's going to be a massive cannabis production facility set up, which they say will be able to cater for all of the patients in Australia. But I think that it's going to be set up for export. Like, it seems largely that it's geared up for export, really. But who knows, maybe in time to come it actually will benefit the people of Australia there, that the cannabis actually will be provided to it. But all of the news I've seen in Australia, it was about exportation of medicines. The most recent one that I can remember, it was exporting it to France to do with the French trials, and it was a large amount of cannabis they were exporting too. So I was reading this at the same time as when I was reading stories from patients in Australia who were saying, I went to the chemist there and there was no cannabis there for me. There was a shortage of supply and there's no delivery in for another week or two. Like, this is a real life situations that the patients are going through over there. But meanwhile, the companies being set up are primarily focused on exportation, because they probably get more money for exportation, because I believe maybe some of the cannabis medicines are covered by the Australian Medicine Board, or maybe not. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong on that one, actually. I'm not too sure, but I believe I did report on something before where there was an Australian insurance company working to try to get the inclusion of cannabis medicines there so they can pay for it for their patients. But I don't know if that was worked out in the end. But I do have a little video there for you guys for this one. And I will end it then with that. I'll be back then to read out some of your comments. Shout out to the guys at the Hemp Party Australia too, because it's thanks to their Facebook page I actually came across this one. So where is that now? There we go. Oh yeah, that's the one. So I'll go and pop this up full screen there for you. And there you go. It is up on screen now. Excellent. And you can still see me.
At $350 a bottle, this is Lindsay Carter's elixir of life.
Every seizure that he has, there's a risk of death.
Cannabis oil, but this vial holds just 3 days' worth.
Next to impossible to get medical cannabis here legally.
Diagnosed with a brain tumour and epilepsy at 13, Lindsay suffers up to 25 seizures a day. The only thing proven to help the now 21-year-old costs $90,000 a year.
In America, it would be around $14,000 a year. It's basically wiped out our retirement.
But there's fresh hope. A medicinal cannabis farm at Toowoomba's Wellcamp Airport.
The Wellcamp facility is going to be able to produce enough product to pretty much cater for the Australian market.
100,000 scripts have been filled since medicinal marijuana was legalised 5 years ago. This farm will be one of the biggest in the world.
To be able to reduce the costs and then supply that cost reduction to Australian patients.
In the meantime, scientists here at the University of Queensland will be instrumental in developing research around particular strains and how each strain affects different patients. Work on the site begins in the coming months and will create 1,000 jobs in the process. Jordan Bissell, 7 News.
It's like, there you go. Like, the benefits of cannabis are crazy. Like, there's 1,000 jobs going to be created in this, as well as creating 1,000 jobs. There's going to be the provision of medicine for what did they say there in that video? I believe it was like 100,000. I believe it was 100,000 patients over there in Australia. That's crazy to think. So amazing stuff. It's nice to see that being set up, but at the same time, there's people in Australia being criminalised for that same plant. There's still patients in Australia without access to it. The people are still not allowed to grow this plant. Private companies set up for profit can grow this plant and sell it to you, but an individual can't grow it and process for their own needs. Bollocks to that, man. What's after being sent to me here? Something about Paul Byrne. Let's see what's happening. It's breaking news. Paul Byrne, a man who pretended to be a guard after breaking into the home of a Cork pensioner and robbed more than 2,000 in cash, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. Yeah, sometimes I get random things sent to me like that. But yeah, that's good news. He should have got fucking longer, to be fair. Like, he's pretending to be a guard and he robbed €2,000 in cash and he got 6 years in prison. But meanwhile, if you get caught with 100 grams of cannabis that's going to harm nobody, you're supposed to get a minimum mandatory of 10 years in prison. Like, surely doing things like this, surely breaking into a person's home should carry with it some fucking serious sentence, like, especially, when you're impersonating a guard too. But yeah, that just popped up and caught my attention there. Sorry about that, guys. Not cannabis related at all. So guys, I will start finishing up with that, so I don't have any more news to get you guys. I will read out some of your comments, guys. John Finnegan up there saying, start low, get high. Yes, love it. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to get the show to you today, guys. I will be back on Friday with more news. But other comments out there. Martin James Dwyer, he says, at least they have a CAN card. Yeah, that's true too, I suppose. But I don't know. I would love to have it here. If I had it here, I wouldn't be waiting for the guards to come to me. I would be going to the cops. I would be, and I don't know, I don't think the CAN card goes far enough, because the growers who grow for the patients, they're not protected under it by the CAN card. So at least they have it, but still, man, it still has its shortcomings. It's the cannabis unity movement says it does help a patient to have some sort of documentation to support their illness, but that does not have to be the can card. Well, there you go, guys. You know what I mean? Like it's bad enough you have to prove you've an illness. As I say, stress is probably one of the biggest killers out there. Cannabis being a prophylactic, i.e. it helps prevent illnesses. If you can prevent or reduce the amount of stress you have to deal with, well, guess what? You're going to be a healthier person. So, like, do you have any documentation there that can prove you're stressed? No. Why should you have to prove you're stressed? Why? Oh, because you're a cannabis consumer and we can't trust you. You might be using it for recreational reasons. Fuck off, like, really, like, that pisses me off, like, that a person has to prove they're a patient in order to use cannabis, like, why? I don't have to prove anything in order to use alcohol, and that's detrimental to my health, do you know? And you know, you can use it positively or you could use it negatively, and we're trusted for that. I can go to the off license, I can buy as much as I want, and I'm trusted like that. I can have a production of it in my home. I can brew it out my backyard in a shed or something like that. And there is no real restrictions. What I mean by real, as in the amount that you're restricted by, it's phenomenal. It's incredible, like, you know. And you literally need to own the Jameson distillery down below to be at that level of production. That's kind of restricted on the personal level. Treat cannabis the same. No patient should have to prove their condition in order to fucking use cannabis. Like, it's bollocks. Like, if the and just add to that, I suppose, if the doctors out there are unwilling to prescribe it to patients who need it, then let the people who understand it do that. Then, like, you know, I think that's incredibly important. That they do that, and I believe that was maybe the words of Luke Flanagan or Gino Kenny the other night, who was talking about that there's professionals out there who are able and willing to work with patients with the cannabis, and if doctors aren't, then get the hell out of the way. Other comments out there, Cannabis Unity Movement again says the whole Misuse of Drugs Act needs to be repealed. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Repeal the Misuse of Drugs Act, 100%. If you cannabis, you die. That's shite in the bucket. I am Toby says, look lads, only way something will happen if we do something drastic in the years coming. Yeah, guys, get out there, 420, make your voice heard, be seen, take a stand. And engage in, and if you're willing, civil disobedience, and I think that's a massive movement that has to happen for cannabis. It's the coming out of the closet, you know. Again, shout out to the people in the gay community out there, guys. You know, be gay and be proud. Like, be a cannabis consumer and be proud. Be proud that you support the ending of the criminalization of cannabis consumers by going out there and expressing it. You don't have to be a cannabis consumer to express that desire either. Much like people go out in Pride who aren't gay. I know many straight people who go out and celebrate on Pride as well, because those people voted for it. Those people supported that community. Those very same people will support our community in this fight too, and those people need to come out now and be more vocal, just like they were for the gay community all those years ago. And it's not that too long ago, actually. John Kelly says, we'll hit the solicitors in the pocket, free legal aid if it's legalised. Yeah, 100%, man. The solicitors, judges, they all benefit from it. They'll all be affected by it. Esport Atlee says, story with the 420 in Cork. Cork City Library, guys, 3 o'clock. That's what time I'll be down there at anyway. I'll have my megaphone with me. I'll hopefully have a speaker there as well, and a microphone for that speaker. And yeah, if people want to get involved, if people want to share their stories, if there's patients out there in Cork who'd like to share their stories on the day, let yourself be known. I haven't the lineup of speakers there for it yet, but if you want to get involved, if you would like to hold the microphone on the day, try to make yourself known to me there beforehand, and I'll facilitate that for you. If you're a person who's been criminalised for your cannabis use out there, again, make yourself known, and I'll facilitate for you to get for whatever time you need on the microphone to share your story and experience with people on the day. And then at 4:20, guys, I will have my tool of civil disobedience with me on the day, and I will be protesting extra hard when the clock ticks 4:20, and I hope you all join me on that one too. If you know, you know. Say no more. Podge, what's happening, Podge? Podge says Irish laws are so backwards and need to change with the times we live in. 100% Podge, man. That's 100% preaching to the choir, bro. John Kelly says it will have to be legalised in England before here. I don't believe that, man. I definitely think that we can do it beforehand. I definitely believe in the people power. People have power, and we just have to utilise that, guys. And I believe it hasn't been tapped into yet. All these years we've been fighting for it, all the things we've done. I don't believe we've truly tapped into the power that's there within the community to support the ending of the criminalisation of cannabis consumers. Like, it's fucking massive, lads, and it'll blow the government away if we could even just tap into a small percentage of it. We don't even need all of it. Just a small percentage of it. I don't even believe we've reached that small percentage yet either. You know, we're only just beginning. We're only just beginning. That's what I believe. Paul Gray says they said after the referendum in New Zealand that the police would not be pursuing growers or criminalising people. Yeah, there was definitely a step back there in New Zealand. Even there's normally a kind of an annual helicopter fucking patrol they do, where they go out and they look for cannabis plantations out there, and they actually called that off this year in order to kind of reduce the spending and the money that they waste. They didn't, I don't think they said waste, but just to reduce the spending, I think is what they said. Waste was my money and my word. But yeah, there's certainly been a step back in the campaign alright over there in New Zealand, but sadly it's still not reflected in the bloody ministers out there holding the important roles. No disrespect to guys, but why do most chatters use cool names? Hope somebody out there answered that question for Sean anyway in the chat, guys. I am Toby, eSport athlete, 3 p.m. the library. Oh yeah, there you go. Sorry, you were tagging your man. Any other comments out there? Paul Gray, that Australian thing was set up for export to Europe in particular. Totally insane. Well, there you go, man. If you know more than me, I didn't see anything that said that in particular, but if I believe it is. The news piece kind of said it would be able to cater, as in it would produce enough to cater for the Australian, but it didn't say that it would be providing it to the Australian market. I think it is for export, because they get more money for it on export, because there's such a fucking demand out there for it, and yet still there's people out there will tell you that the benefits of cannabis is just a myth, it's lies. It's been paid for by fucking, what's that billionaire dude? Man. He's some evil billionaire. Shit. Anyway, yeah, Open Society Foundation. That's the dudes that they're all on about, like Bobby Smith there, and I hate fucking even saying his name on the podcast, but he was trying to say like that the Open Society Foundation was funded by these fucking evil, malevolent billionaires, and the transparency of where their money comes from is unknown. Like, I kind of hinting towards that these billionaires are getting funded by maybe criminal organisations. Why in the name of God would criminal organisations be funding a billionaire in order to legalise drugs? Because they stand to lose the most from this. Like, so that's utter nonsense. Like, you know, Bobby Smith probably funded by these same criminals, actually, because the criminals benefit from prohibition. Like, so he'd want to really go in and fucking do his homework and this, like. Cannabis unity movement. There's a reason why there's a larger audience on YouTube compared to Facebook, and that is anonymous data. That's an interesting comparison, actually. Yeah, the audience on Facebook is it always is a little bit smaller at times than YouTube. But yeah, there's definitely I wonder, is that because of the anonymity? Yeah, because there's definitely been people who said to me in the past, Martin, I love what you do, but I can't share it on my Facebook. Imagine there's probably people out there who are afraid to click into the video on Facebook, but they'll click into it on YouTube because of the fear and stigma that exists around drug use and cannabis and all of that kind of stuff. Like, you know, that's fucking bad for people's health to live with that fear and stigma in order to change and alter your behaviors. Like, you know, you're hiding who you are on one platform, but look, you feel okay to you know, on another platform. What does that say about your day-to-day interactions and how you limit your interactions? You know, why have this fucking thing that need not be there that you hide? I'm a cannabis consumer. Who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if you drink or not. Like it doesn't matter if you're gay or not. Like it doesn't matter if you're black, white, or whatever bloody other skin color you can bloody be. Like it doesn't matter. Like you shouldn't be judged on these things. Like it's discrimination if you are. Get it? You know, discrimination. That's what discrimination is. Like judging people on based upon difference. Like, why allow it? Oh, it's because those drugs are illegal. Well, we're allowed to discriminate against you. You know, it's okay to call you a junkie. You know what I mean? But the N word, you know what I mean? The N word or the F word, you know what I mean? In terms of homosexuals, like, you know, and all that, like, you know what I mean? Like we there is movement within the drug using community, within the drug reform community, in order to address our vocabulary around addressing drug users. Certainly there is attention being brought to it, and that again tells me we're heading in the right direction. Like we're following in the way in which things changed in other areas. Again, you know what I mean? Slavery for black people, oppression for gay people, and soon the discrimination, the oppression of drug users. That's going to follow like those things. That's what it's telling me. We as a community, we just have to fucking be a catalyst. That's what we have to be. We have to be that thing that helps speed it up. That's what a catalyst is, if you don't know. We help speed up a reaction. You know, a reaction is going to take place anyway. But if you introduce a catalyst, it helps speed it up more. It happens faster. So that's what we, the people, need to be in order to see the drug policy reform faster, especially in Ireland. And geez, lads, you have a load of comments coming in here at the moment. Jesus, you wouldn't see RT showing that in the news. No, man, 420 News is way better than anything you'll get out there on RT. And I'm not looking for a license fee, guys. You know what I mean? If you want to support the show, support the show. If you don't. I'm still going to do this. Like, you know what I mean? It's all about the message that gets out there to the people. So yeah. I won't say RT anymore. John Finnegan, what's happening? These guys can export tons of cannabis across international borders legally, and people like John Regan are harassed by the Garda Gestapo. There you go, guys. It's all about profit, man. It's all about oppression, and it's about making the most money. And I as I always say, I've said it numerous times before, keeping cannabis illegal, preventing me, you, and me granny from growing cannabis. Well, the pharmaceutical companies over in Australia exporting it here to Ireland, you know, they can afford to export it all the way to Ireland because there's no industry here currently in Ireland. There's nobody growing and producing cannabis in Ireland. The people of Ireland currently can't grow and produce it for themselves, so they can name their price. Do you know, if my granny needs it for her arthritis, you know what I mean? Those people can name their price. They can charge my granny whatever they want, because she can't get it anywhere else. There's no Irish company here, although there is Irish companies out there working in the CBD field. These people don't even want to talk about cannabis, I don't believe. But you know, not all of them. You know, if you feel offended by that, maybe there's a bit of truth in it to yourself, and you know. Don't judge me. But again, you know, we need to be able to, like people like myself, I fucking spent 4 years in college learning about cannabis, learning how it interacts with the human body, learning all of the pharmacology behind it. And I sent messages to the HPRA, to the all of the above, to the FSAI, saying, hey, I'm graduating soon. Would you like to bring me in some capacity in order to share with you my knowledge, what I know about cannabis? No. And some of them actually sent me back, no, cannabis is an illegal substance, and like literally as if I didn't know this, like, you know what I mean? And you wonder why we are where we are today, then why people like Vera Toomey still have to fucking fork out almost €10,000 of our own money every 3 months in order to get a medicine imported again from another country, because there is no supply of it here in our country. There's nobody currently growing cannabis. There's people growing what they want to call hemp, and those people don't believe they're growing cannabis. But there's nobody actually growing cannabis in Ireland to produce medicines, to produce high quality products for people like Ava, Vera's daughter. You know, there's not. I would love to be the person to do that. I would love to work with experts out there to do that, but currently I can't. I'm restricted. Instead, I'm here doing the 420 News, doing all of the activism involved, you know, and I love doing it. because the alternative would be packing my bags and fucking off to another country, and I don't want to do that. That's the coward's way. Maybe it's because when I was younger I was bullied a little bit, and I don't want to give in to bullies anymore, and I made that commitment to myself once I got into boxing when I was kind of like 13, and I started fucking building a bit of a backbone for myself. I said, fuck it, I'm not going to take shit from bullies anymore. Like, I know these government are acting like bullies. I'm not going to pack my bags and run away to another country because the government over there is going to treat me nicer. That's like not going to the schoolyard, going to a different playground, if you will, because there's a bully at the other playground. Do you know? No, you don't avoid that playground because of the bully. No, you stand up to the fucking bully. You tell somebody in charge. Well, the people in charge are the fucking bullies, apparently. You know what I mean? And that's bollocks, like. That's fucking real bollocks, like. So that's why we have to break the laws, and that's how we're going to stand up to against them. Do you know what I mean? That song, like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. That song, like, just rings around in my head all the time when I think about the Irish government, man. Oh, guys, the show is going on long here. Sorry, there's loads of comments to get through. John Kelly, the vaping shops sell loads of CBD. What a con job, not the same as the plant. Yeah, a lot of the stuff in the CBD vape shops, like, is just isolate. Some of it coming from probably not even cannabis, you know, literally being grown in bacteria in a fucking big vat, and they extract it out of the bacteria then afterwards, like, you know, that's what David Beckham invested in, like, you know, and then that's what they put into your vape fucking cartridge, because it's easy to do it that way then, because there's no danger there that there's any THC in it, because it came from a bacteria. But then they'll put it on a package, then CBD vape, and they'll put a cannabis leaf on it, even though it came out of a fucking E. coli bacteria. Scumbags. Cannabis Unity Movement, LOL, at least they have a scam card. Sean T. Campion says, Liam as I am, no alias required, all the best, guys. Martin James The Wire, he says, also you can get someone to talk about Citizens Assembly and when things are going to move on in there. Yeah, I'm not too sure what the crack is into the Citizens Assembly. Hopefully it will move on soon. I think it's like third on the list of 3 or of 5 or something like that. So hopefully it will happen soon. It should be moved up the list. Like, there's a fucking greater matter of urgency here. Like, not to mention, like, you know, the money being wasted by the state, but like the lives that are at risk, like, you know, every day, like, people being criminalized for something that they needn't be criminalized for. Like, those people are at risk of harming themselves afterwards because of the, I don't, for me, that's my experience, like, being made feel like a criminal. Like, you know, that's just going to reduce my idea of myself and my abilities and what I can do with society. That's going to harm my opinion of myself, and that led to me almost fucking taking my life at a certain point. Like, so I don't want people out there to feel like that anymore, and it shouldn't be. So we need to end this criminalization of drug users. I and Toby, yeah, happy days, one and all, bro. Skankus, they're all cannabis patients in the end. The benefits of the endocannabinoid systems make it a medicine, but by default. That's what I say, man. I think so many people are out there that are cannabis deficient. We've an endocannabinoid system that's not being nutritionally satisfied through our diet anymore. I believe maybe in the past we were consuming more animal products, animals that were fed hemp, and that in turn enriched the animal products then with cannabinoids, or maybe kind of byproducts of cannabinoids that would interact then with our endocannabinoid system, allowing us to be more healthier human beings. That's just one theory, I'm throwing it out there. I would love to see maybe that tested. WRT Gunner, brilliant work again. Enjoy the rest of your day, mate. All the best, chat. Yeah, guys, I'm just going to read a couple of more comments anyway, guys. Chill around if you want, but all the news is gone. I'm just going to take a quick swig, might pack another bowl, and I'll bait through a few more comments. And the comments are coming in faster than I can read them there at times. Like, I'm scrolling down through them, and I'm seeing the yoke go up and up and up, and like, shit, there's more comments coming in. I'll have to call it a day at some point, but I'll keep going for now. Why is the stream called When's That, lads? I don't know. Was it called When's That? I didn't see that at all. Um, Ah, yes. That was me with my fucking speed typing. I put the N before the E. Wednesday. Yeah. That was my speed typing, guys. So apologies for that. I should really proofread that stuff before the stuff goes out. Nice one for that there. Sarah. I'll update that there once I end the stream. I wouldn't have known that if you didn't say that now at all. Got a poll pack there, guys. I hope you're able to get your daily dose of greens into you out there who require it. What happened to the Irish Cannabis Club Union coming from the Daily Talker? I'm not too sure, man. I actually never heard of them. But certainly there is a bit of an association kind of movement happening there again at the moment. So maybe there will be something announced very soon. If people want to kind of get involved in any capacity, do keep your ears opened or get involved with the Cannabis Activist Alliance, and through that then you will be able to help out with the movement too. And that's active mostly over on Facebook, guys, who have problems with anonymity. But if people want to get involved, there is a bit of a chat happens every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. on Zoom. If you want to be involved, if you're over on YouTube, Twitch or Twitter, any of those other places, and you're not on Facebook, get in touch with me, and I'll try to get you the Zoom link so you can take part in the discussion that happens between all of the activists every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. It's a nice kind of nice chill hangout, but we are very productive as well at times. So yeah, that's the Cannabis Activist Alliance there, guys. John Finnegan, he says, we had a gay Taoiseach, time for a stoner on vote Martin Condon #1. That'll be gas. I reckon, I don't know, I'd say we probably had maybe some closeted I don't think any of the past Taoiseachs would have been a cannabis consumer in any way, I'd say, actually. Yeah, I take that back. Martin James the Wire, he says, months are passing away. If it don't go Citizens Assembly, what chance do Gino's bill got? Gino's bill currently has got very little movement or got very little hope, unless guys we make a massive movement behind it. And again, like, I believe civil disobedience is going to play a massive part of that. Like, again, that'll really put pressure on the government. Letters, emails, phone calls, guys, that does great, that does put pressure on it. But like, in terms of pressure, like, you know, that it's like, you know, like, like that's what happens when civil disobedience happens in any meaningful level. It's scale that matters. Like, my solitary acts of civil disobedience, the only way that matters is hopefully it inspires other people out there to get involved and engaged in it. That's where it matters. But when then all those people do get involved and engaged, that's when the media is going to start paying attention. It's no longer going to be one person going into the Garda station. It's going to be 100 people went into the Garda station with a bag of cannabis, and 100 people said they all own that bag of cannabis. That's a fucking headline and a half for you guys. I can't wait until we can create that event. Like, I hope we can make it happen soon. That's what I hope. That's what my hope is in doing the protests I do, is that I can inspire more people to kind of just fucking, I don't know, just step up and challenge it, and get engaged and challenge the charges, you know. Fight it all the way. Appeal your cases when it comes to court. Don't accept these donations to charities. Don't accept your fines. Don't accept your convictions. Appeal it as much as you can, because again, this is a human rights issue. This is violation of your human rights, a violation of your privacy. There's so many violations of your human rights here because of this Misuse of Drugs Act, and that's why it needs to be repealed, and that's what you can fucking campaign for, like, you know, appeal it right through, and hopefully the Court of Human Rights then will pick up and defend you. But, you know, just stand up, challenge charges, and come out of the stoner closet, if you will, you know. Stoner and proud. Jordan Sims, what's happening? He says, booze is acceptable because the government like a drink, and the places that have made weed illegal or made weed legal is because someone high up gets high. I smoke because of a bike accident. Doctor wants me on tramadol and more. It's a fucking joke. I agree, man. It is a effing joke, man. It's so messed up because you know, tramadol over time you could get addicted to that stuff, like, and it takes its toll then in your body, you know. Whereas cannabis, like, it there hasn't been like any recorded negative effects of using cannabis at all. Like any real, like there's no true correlation, you know, like causation isn't correlation, or correlation isn't causation, apologies. In that regard, like there's no definitive proof that yes, using cannabis is bad for you. Now, smoking cannabis, like yeah, smoking cannabis is probably not good for you. Smoking anything is not good for you. But consuming cannabis, now that's a different question. But yeah, booze is acceptable. Booze is safe because it's legal. You know, and even then, it's still not safe. You know, it can still be abused and it can still do harm. Imagine if we legalized cannabis. Like, really, what are going to be the harms that'll be seen? Like, you know, I can't really see any great harms. 14 litres of drinking wasted to flush a toilet. 14 litres of drinking water wasted to flush a toilet. So don't use plants. Plants are bad. I'm gay. Monsieur Fudge, funny how the UK being so relaxed in the sense can let hundreds grow, not legally, but there's already an illegal import set up from the UK to Ireland as well as the rest of the world. Get a step ahead. Yeah. Scatanist, the anti-open society folks are pretty much far-right fascists. They just don't like the evil anti-authoritarian education and culture tolerance. Yeah, you're spot on there, man. That they really don't. Daily talk or hope everyone's staying green, staying organic. Shiting in the bucket asks, are poppers still legal? I think they are. I don't think poppers were made illegal. It's not in my knowledge anyway. John Finnegan says, gave up caring what people think of me years ago. So much happier. Once had a barmaid tell me to stop smoking the... John Finnegan, Podge Donovan says, sure, that guy saying weed was a gateway drug in the talk the other night. My bollocks, I messaged him straight away saying alcohol is the biggest one, but that's legal. Though, whoa, crazy world. Yeah, like, see, they don't understand that. Like, and I will always admit that. Like, once I was really drunk and somebody said, do you want to do some coke? And I said, fuck it, why not? Like, literally, I most likely wouldn't have done that if I wasn't drunk. Like, I never used cocaine sober, and that's kind of how I can tie that one in. I used cocaine twice. Twice I was drunk. 100% of the time I've used cocaine, I was drunk. Must be a gateway drug. Alcohol, i.e. But I wouldn't want to make alcohol illegal at all. Like, I would never support the idea of making a drug illegal, because that's silly. It's only detrimental then to the users of that drug. And I believe people should be allowed the choice to use a drug. Like, why not? Like, we're all here for, we're here for, what is it? We're here for a good time, not a long time. Do you know what I mean? So no government should be able to get involved in kind of my use of how I spend my time here and enjoy my time in this art. As long as, like, I'm not abusing a drug and out there engaging in bad behaviour that's going to be detrimental to society, why should they care? Keith Griffin says, finally on my way home from work, having a few smokes. Awesome news again as always, Martin. Keep her lip, bro, and everyone. Nice one there for that, Keith. Pods 420, time for change is now. Free the herb. Yes, man, that's it, guys. Get out there. This less than a week away now, guys, to 420. So I hope to see some fucking flags flying all over. And actually, an update on that. The locations that I have so far, we have Cork, Wexford, and Kerry and Killarney. So Kerry, Killarney in Kerry. We also have Belfast. I'm not too sure if Dublin guys and there's also Offaly as well, but I haven't been updated there with a location for Offaly or a time. But Wexford is going to be 12 to 2 p.m. outside of the courthouse in Wexford, guys. So anybody in Wexford who's looking to attend the protest on 420 outside of the courthouse on at 12 o'clock until 2 o'clock. That's been organised by the guys at the Wexford Cannabis Social Club. That's Stephen Kavanagh and Jen Devlin. So well done guys out there for that. Down in Killarney then, that's been organised by Joe Williams, who's notified the Gardaí, and that's going to be meeting at 3 p.m. at the courthouse in Killarney, and he's planning to march then from there down to the National Park, and to be at the National Park for 4:20, where maybe there's further plans then at that point. You can use your imagination on that one. And then, as I say, Cork is going to be 3 p.m. at the Cork City Library. And up in Belfast then, I don't have the details here for Belfast, but apologies there for that, but you can find details through the Northern Ireland Cannabis or Compassion Club, or through the NI Canna guy over on Facebook and Instagram. The details are up there. I believe there's a meeting at 3 p.m. as well, or something like that. Again, I'll jump on. I'm just going to get it up here now as I'm on about it. Apologies, no guys, I should have had that one written down. Boom, links to the Parades Commission. And I can a community 20, yeah, at 3:30 Belfast, and the town centre is where it's coming up here. There's the event page actually on Facebook where there's even more information. So Belfast City Centre, yeah, that's kind of what's coming up here. Meeting at Writer Square opposite St Anne's Cathedral at 3 p.m. in Belfast. We will make our way to Belfast City Hall shortly after the beginner parade at 3:30 p.m. Arriving at the Botanic at 4 p.m. We will be exercising our rights at the Botanic until shortly after 4:30 in the afternoon. More information to follow closer to the time. So yeah, that's Belfast 4/20/2021. You'll find that on Facebook if you want to see that event. Yeah, so that's what I have so far. I think there's like 5 out there. There's people in other counties going to be holding their own personal protests. They don't want to make those public, so apologies, I can't share details as to those ones. If there's people out there in other counties, if you're upset that your county's not in the list, get in touch, let me know that you're doing something, and I'll include it. But yeah, guys, there's so many comments. Stony typing can be hazardous, Martin. Be careful. Yeah, that's definitely it, man. Sometimes like one hand is faster than the other. I like use 2 hands for typing, and like Wednesday, I think I just missed out there one. That one happens. Stony typing. The Daily Talker saying here that on Normal Ireland website there is a page about CSCs and a link to irishcannabisunion.com, but that page is down when I checked today. Yeah, it was probably left just going active because there probably wasn't much interest all those years ago when they tried to get that going. And like I currently believe that Normal Ireland actually isn't really too much interested in the cannabis associations, as in doing it illegally. They're more interested in just getting the government to accept their guidelines, but rather than actually doing it illegally without permission, which is kind of what I'm committed to doing now at the moment, is just setting up these associations and doing it without permission. So yeah, fuck that, man. Civil disobedience all the way. It's about harm reduction, like it's about taking control over the supply, because you can't trust the supply currently. You don't want to be supporting the black market, you don't want to be engaging in criminals, but you don't want to also be exposing yourselves to dangerous chemicals that could be added either in the growing process or afterwards at the drying stage. You know, and you above all else, you want to know what you're consuming. You know, so that's all the reasons why cannabis associations are essential, and they're going to be going ahead in Ireland very soon. Yeah. Podge Donovan, hit the like button, everybody. Hit that like, share button, guys, if you haven't already. And I like, there's no shortage of comments anyway, like, so that goes without saying, guys. Keep them coming. I'm getting there to the end there now, starting to catch up. I see Teresa's out there and she's only getting in there. We'll have to watch back later. It was such a lovely day out, 5 kilometre walk. Excellent. I'll be going out on a jog there now myself, and my jogs can be about 15 kilometres. I'll get my 2 dogs out, and yeah. Tommy McIntyre, before drinking I almost want to get coke or pills Then after a few pints sometimes ends. There you go, guys. Drink is certainly fucking lowers your inhibitions anyway. Your ability to make decisions, at least sensible decisions anyway. Oh no, Colin says he's broke for 420 and has to smoke some cabbage. I hope you got some good cabbage at least anyway, you know what I mean? That dank. John Finnegan says, imagine if they made coffee illegal. It would be moving to the woods. I wouldn't be able to deal with all the caffeine junkies going through withdrawal. Yeah, that's true. They'd never be able to make caffeine illegal, like, you know, albeit a drug. They would never be able to make it illegal. It would just never happen. Just too many people consuming it, like, you know, it's just too ingrained in our society. But all those years ago, albeit, like, you know, cannabis was widely used in the medical kind of field, like, you know, it just wasn't really very popular, you know, like popular, it wasn't widely known what they were doing in what they were doing. Because at the same time, there was also the introduction of other medicines, like aspirin was coming along at the same time. So it was easy then for them to be able to forget about cannabis, because there was no talk about cannabis. It was actually marijuana that we're talking about, you know, when they were fucking bringing in the prohibition of cannabis in 1937. It was marijuana they were talking about. So that was how they were able to do it. Sorry guys, got a bit distracted there. Other comments, guys, and I'm going to blaze up a ball and I'll be signing off then at that point. Sean T. Cambion says, why so many different groups out there? Why not simply county-wide and take it from there? Yeah, you see, I think there's so many groups because there's so many different social media platforms that people are kind of creating their own groups on. And then there's people like within groups that kind of don't agree with other groups, or they want to set up their own group because they want to be the leader of the group. And you know what I mean? There's egos, there's all of this stuff out there. But I think it was important that was said on the Irish Canna Clinic event the other night with with Paddy Amaget and Ana Afuero from the Spanish Cannabis Social Clubs. They talked about all of these different groups and stuff like that. The most important thing to remember is that we work together. Albeit we can have our differences, but we work together. And that's what's going to get the most effective use of our time. Now, if that means amalgamating groups and meshing groups into turning two into one, then so be it. But the most important thing is that we work together. We keep the channels of communication open, and we don't go against one another. That's the most important thing. Like, we can't turn against one another. That was my experience last fucking August. I organised the protest in Cork last July after the major smoke up had theirs in the Phoenix Park. And the first one was a major success, and then I went for a second one in August to keep it going, and I created a bit of a committee around it. And then people in the committee kind of got their own notions as to what can and can't be done or can and can't be said on the day. And that became a problem. But for me, it was just kind of like, well, look, I'm going to keep doing what I was doing anyway. And I'm not willing to kind of to change on that, but some people then took that like way too personally, and that caused a split, and now I've been blocked from one of a prominent activist page out there. I've been blocked from that page for quite a bit of time, and I don't know if you'd look over my timeline, I haven't shared anything from this page of that person who's in my county as much as I would like to, and I actually think some of the work that person does is fucking great, like great infographics and stuff like that. I can't share it because that person is after blocking me because of this personal difference that they had before. Do you know what I mean? Don't take these things personally. What I was doing at the time, I was staying focused on the goal and the agenda, and I wasn't letting fear get in the way. You were letting fear get in the way because of the way in which optics and things. But look, I'm fucking wasting time again in this. I'm not wasting any more time in that. We need to work together, and we need to focus on the goal. Ending cannabis prohibition, getting this plant legalized and into the hands of the people. That's let our people grow, you know what I mean? Hashtag let our people grow. We are not fucking criminals. My name is John and I am also a caffeine addict. John Finnegan. Tommy McIntyre, he says, we really need to get the attention of media through direct contact and sharing online on April 20th. Yeah, guys, that's it. Like, whatever way in which you want to protest on 420, whether it be online or whether it be in person at one of these events that I mentioned, just the most important thing is that you're there. Be present, be engaged, be counted. Like, do you know what I mean? Show up, like, because if you don't show up, like, you're not going to be represented and you're not going to be counted. And then, like, sure, you're partly to blame then that we're still in this mess. You know what I mean? So if you're out there, if you're a part of this community, if you're a cannabis consumer, if you're a person who believes in the ending of the criminalization of cannabis consumers or opening up access to patients, fucking have your voice heard. Get out there and participate. Like, because otherwise, you know what I mean? If you're not a part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. Miss Laois says, I'll be doing some seed bombing and joining the Puff and Pass train on 420 in Dublin. Excellent. We'll swing by Phoenix Park and see who assembles around 3 to 420. Excellent. So is that in Dublin? So on 420, guys, in Phoenix Park. There you go, guys. Look, just see who goes. Like, if you're out there, if you're in Dublin, and if you want to meet some like-minded people, if you would like to engage in a little civil disobedience protest of your own, if you don't want to call it that, if you want to call it a smoke-up, if you want to meet up for a smoke with like-minded people, show up at the Phoenix Park there, and around 3-4:20, start puffing away, like, you know what I mean? And people will know in the area, like, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't have known that day that there was a protest last year at the major smoke-ups event. Only for, there was actually like a smell in the air. The wind was blowing, so that took the clouds away, so there was no real clouds in the air, but it was the smell that kind of gave it away. But otherwise you wouldn't have really even known that there was a protest there. So guys, make yourself known in the way that us cannabis consumers do best. So excellent, that's added to the list there now. Dublin's on the list. Phoenix Park, between 3 and 5, let's say. There you go, guys. At the monument, I'd gather. That's where the major smoke up guys did it last time. So if people are out there, if Phoenix Park is open, just head on up there. Bring your joint switchy, bring your bong, bring your edibles, bring whatever you want to bring. Bring your bongos, bring your bloody guitar, and have a good old day. Hopefully 420 will be a nice, sunny, glorious one, and the ganja gods out there will be shining down on us. Shit in the bucket says, good stuff, Martin. I'd say it's hard finding pants that fit. I wonder what you're suggesting there. I don't think you're saying I have a big waist anyway, is it? I've seen a few comments suggesting that I have big cojones. I can certainly tell you that my cojones fit in my pants quite fine. One Shore Fudge says, you'll never catch up, we're letting you go. Enjoy. Yes, nice one, man. Sure, I'm almost there, guys. I'm almost down to the end of it. Like, I'm skipping over some of them, and I apologise for that. Shanti Campion says, anything happening in Mead in 420 protest? A Cork's man in Mead. So shout out to the people out in Mead, guys. I know there's people out there in Mead that consume some cannabis, guys. So like, literally, like, it doesn't even have to be, don't call it a protest. Like what's happening up in Dublin there now at the moment. Like, just literally kind of have your spot. And let's just meet up there. Just meet up and somebody brings a radio, play a bit of music, smoke a bit of weed, and, like, man, that's a protest. Like, if the cops come, guys, the most important thing, the biggest mistake I made, don't run. Like, that, I should have announced that on the day of our last protest, like, to tell people, don't run. I fucked up and I didn't do that. So if you're going to hold a protest, guys, at the start of your protest, 5, 10, 20 minutes through, like, every 15, 20 minutes, fucking remind people, guys, if the authorities show up, if the cops show up, do not, excuse me, guys, hiccups, or a bit of a burp even, but just remind people, do not run away. If the cops show up, do not run, do not scatter, stand your ground, guys. This is a protest. That's the most important thing. I messed up. I'll take ownership of that. I didn't do that, and I learned from my mistake. So I'll know now, if any protest, guys, that I'll hold, I'll be making sure to people, if the cops show up, guys, don't run away. Danny Butler says, waiting on my roster for work before I decide what to do for 420 wise. Hopefully can make it to the protest somewhere. Excellent, good to hear, man. And Other comments there. Dreamer77 says, I wish I was never introduced to coffee. Yeah, no, I kind of have, I could, yeah, relate with that one, all right. I really like my cup of coffee in the morning, but I find that I'm doing it a bit too much, and that yeah, it's a bit too much of a ritual now, and I have to kind of try to break it as a habit, and it tends to be a bit of a hard one to break. Yeah, definitely. But I don't hate it just yet. Don't regret it anyway, at least. John Finnegan says, was that the time the Garda came to the park? Yeah, that's the time. That's the one, man. That's the video that's been seen by nearly, I don't know, is it like 6,000 or 7,000 people have watched that video now or something like that? One of those videos got a crazy amount of views anyway. But yeah, when everybody just ran away, the guards caused a fucking commotion. So some young one just like, the guards run, and everybody just had a reaction and ran. Then, like, you know, it was like kind of just the flock followed. It was interesting. The people who stayed behind, they were a bit more of a mature crowd as well. Like, so it was a lot of the younger people who ran. So they were probably worried about, again, the stigma, the fear, what would happen if they got caught. That was reflective in the panic, the fear that was created by the guards showing up that day. But the media didn't pick up on that. They don't talk about this at all. That was only done on Martin's World. John Finnegan, unite the fight. Skitanist says, might just be worth it. I'll be up until late as I'm starting my swing operations at midnight. Excellent, man. Martin James The Wire says, if there was one in tip, I would go. Well, there you go, man. Literally, just get your joint, go out there and say nothing to nobody if you don't want to, and go into your county. Tell me if you're going to do it, and go into your county and do a live video, but you'd have to do it from maybe your own personal profile, but maybe you can create Tipperary Cannabis fucking Club, create Tipperary Cannabis Protest, and just use it that day for that video and share it then with me, and I can compile it all then afterwards, like, and just go down to the town square and hold up your banner, spark up your joint, do whatever protest you want to do. Again, 4 minutes and 20 seconds of holding a banner in your town square. There's your protest. That's it. That's done. Turn off your camera, go home. Send me the video. Use the hashtag Cannabis Reform Ireland as well. That seems to be the hashtag that they're trying to get going. I see Steve on out there as well. What's happening, Steve on? He says, great message there, man. Regardless of what we think of people personally, we have to stay focused on the common goal. Thanks for the shout out. Not a bother at all, Stephen, man. Thanks for your continued efforts, man, for this fight. Well done, man. It's not easy to keep up facing this ignorance that we face every day. I know it can fucking definitely wear on a man's mental health anyway. I know mine, like, certainly there's times I feel like just literally banging my head off the bloody wall. The level of ignorance that we kind of see within the Irish government and the politicians when responding to issues around cannabis consumers and stuff like that. And we're nearly there, guys. Last few comments. Yes, we're almost there. Bowl at the ready. Dreamer77 says, I was always scared to be revealed to the police, which was wrong on my part. Man, like, it's not wrong to be scared, like, but what is wrong is to act on that fear, unless the threat is real. The threat, it is somewhat real, but it's not real in the sense that it's not going to kill you. And that's the only fear in which you have to really act upon as a human, is it's a fear of something that will kind of kill you, as in like a lion, a fucking bear, or a car coming down the road, you know what I mean? Act upon the fear, get out of the way. But the fear of the police is not one in which we should really act upon. Not really, like, you know, especially when the behaviour is not immoral, it's not wrong in any way, like that's wrong of the government to put the force there, like the authority into the police force, to make us fearful of them for that reason, like that's just wrong, it's criminal, and we need to stand up against this, like, and yeah. So again, it's not really wrong on your part, like, you know, it's just part of human nature, but acting upon that then, when you know that the threat isn't really credible, as in it's not going to actually cost you your life to be revealed, then fucking stand up and be proud. On Sure Fudge as well, saying, excellent show, seed bombs here daily, keep on going, keep on people, roll on 420 in Carrick. Excellent. Oh, and Carrick, what county is Carrick in actually, I'm sure. And I'll add that to my list there as well, because I don't have it down on my list. Where is Carrick? What county? Shine in a bucket says legalise PCP now. Angel dust for everybody, guys. There's always one, isn't there? Come on, behave yourself. But yeah, you know, like literally decriminalise every drug, like provide an avenue to that. Like if people want to use PCP and they're going to use it fucking in a I don't know, a responsible way, then I don't know, and leave them off. And guys, to the people that are still out there, thanks very much for staying tuned in. John Kelly is asking, anything happening in Cork over the summer? Guys, for anybody that's around Cork or even outside of Cork, I've got a whole load of stuff that I want to be happening in Cork over the summer. Hopefully we're going to have some lovely weather. We have Bob Marley's anniversary coming up, and I haven't done so yet, but I was talking to Johnny Keenan about it when he was down in Cork at a few weeks ago, and he was down for essential reasons, and I met him before he left. Excuse me, coughing there. But we were talking about Bob Marley's anniversary, and Johnny Keenan, Paradise Paddy, he was on the talk there the other night with Howard Marks. But we might do something in Cork with in remembrance of Bob Marley, and we'll hold something there, and a little sesh. I know Natty Whaler is available, and he's only looking for an excuse to come down to Cork, so maybe that's something that will happen there. Bob Marley's anniversary is in May. I think it's the 16th of May is when he died. So we'll be doing something there in May. We'll be doing something in June. We'll be doing something in July, and we'll be doing something in August. I certainly have ambitious plans there for the whole summer. Lots of meetups, lots of fun stuff going on. So we will have a fun summer ahead. So yeah, we'll have to figure out a way. I'm going to make a Telegram group maybe or some stage, guys, or maybe something like that, a Signal group, where I can relay information to people about events, because I need a single point of contact for everybody. And there's going to be some events that I might be advertising that I probably might hold back some information from the airwaves. So yeah, I might set up something like that, or maybe even a Discord. Is Discord good? I don't know if yeah, like again, Discord is just I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll work on that anyway. I'll leave that one to me. If anyone's got suggestions, let me know. And Carrick is in Leitrim. Nice one there for that. From Teresa. Teresa's updating me there on that one. Leitrim, County Leitrim. So I'll add County Leitrim, Carrick and County Leitrim added to the list. If PCP were cigarettes, they would be called Ozzy Osbournes. That's John Finnegan, legend. Martin James Dwyer says, C. McGregor versus Poirier 3 is made. I didn't actually, man. Nice one for that, and I look forward to it. I love a good UFC event. Podge Donovan as well saying, cool, defo be up for all that. And I'm at the end of the comments, guys. I made it to the end. Go on me. Yes, commitment and follow through. I definitely will admit I kind of skipped a few as I went down through. But I made it to the end of your comments, guys. And I'm done. That's it. That's all of the 420 news for today, guys. I will be back on Friday. I'll have some further updates there on 420 events. If anybody's out there gets in contact with me, updates me with more counties, I'll be back with more updates on that in 420 and some more 420 news on Friday. Keep an eye out as well tomorrow, guys. I will be releasing the interview with Albertillo. It's a great interview. I really enjoyed it. Albertillo, again, was a prominent cannabis activist in Spain. He's currently serving a prison sentence for the involvement in the cannabis clubs. So I interviewed him there yesterday. So that's going to be an amazing interview. I look forward to releasing that one tomorrow afternoon for you. So I should be out there maybe early in the morning, guys, for you. So keep an eye out for that one. Have a nice evening, everybody. And stay blazed. Keep her lit. Peace and love.